Hi everybody from TechnoLost, and welcome to the comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S4, which is version GTI 9505, and the HTC One. Well, let's start with the physical specs of this device. Let's start with the Galaxy S4. The Galaxy S4 is 136.6 millimeters high, is 69.8 millimeters wide, and is just 7.9 millimeters thick. Then we have the HTC One, which is, to be more precise, 137.4 millimeters tall. It's 68.2 millimeters wide, and it's 9.3 millimeters thick. So if we have a direct comparison between these two devices, we can easily see that the HTC One, let me zoom out a little bit, sorry. The HTC One, it's a little bit taller than the Galaxy S4, but at the same time, it's even a little bit, the Galaxy S4, it's a little bit wider than the HTC One. Here we go. So, talking about weight, we have 130 gram on the Galaxy S4, and we have 143 gram on the HTC One. So the HTC One weight more or less 13 grams more than the Galaxy S4. Then let's talk about the design and materials. We have, of course, nothing but polycarbonate into the Galaxy S4, although this bezel here seems like it's made of aluminum. It is not. It's nothing but plastic all around, and on the back and on the front, of course, we have the Gorilla Glass 3. But let me tell you, maybe like most of you, I was a little bit ashamed when I saw the Galaxy S4 presentation, because I thought, oh god, another plastic Galaxy S something. But just let me tell you, if you use it, if you feel it every day, it's a very good piece of plastic. I'm not joking, it's very good. It's well assembled, no cracking anywhere, it's very good. Although it's made of plastic, it's very comfortable to hold in the hand, because it's it's very thin. Moreover, we have sharper edges in respect of this Galaxy S3. So although made of plastic, it's really good. And then we have, of course, the HTC One. HTC One, it's all, or maybe not completely all, but it's, for most of it, it's made of aluminum. Here we have the black version, which is really extremely elegant. It's very nice indeed. We have all aluminum on the back. We have Gorilla Glass 2 on the front, while we have Gorilla Glass 3 on the Galaxy S4. We have aluminum here, and the bezel around the device, it's made of plastic. Anyway, the general feeling, it's extremely solid. It's it's really a premium device. Like, we have very few premium devices into the Android scene. This is maybe one of the best built Android device nowadays. Well, this is what concerns the design. Of course, talking about plastic and talking about aluminum, of course, aluminum, although seems to be a tougher device, it's a little bit more prone to scratch. So maybe you should be a little bit more careful with the HTC One than with the Galaxy S4. Well, now let's talk about the hardware. We have for both devices the last, or maybe not, it's not last anymore, because we have the new Snapdragon 800, but anyway, it's a very recent SoC, which is the Snapdragon 600 for both the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. We have a slightly overclocked version into the Galaxy S4. It's clocked at 1.9 GHz and it's quad-core processor with a production service of 28 nanometers, of course. It's clocked at 1.9 on the Galaxy S4, while the same processor, so the same quad-core 28 production service CPU, clocked at 1.7 GHz on the HTC One. So we have 1.9 against 1.7. Moreover, we have 2 GB of RAM on both devices, but we have DDR3 RAM here on the Galaxy S4, while we have DDR2 RAM type here on the HTC One. Well, what does this mean? This means that, you know, speaking about rough power, for what concerns games, we have 2 or 3 frames more on the Galaxy S4. But for everyday life, let me tell you, maybe just because of the fact that the Sense 5, the interface into the HTC One is way more optimized than the Nature UX 2 that we can find into the Galaxy S4. But the everyday speaks for, you know, the HTC One. It's extremely fluid, extremely fast, no lag. It's a pleasure to be used. While on the Galaxy S4, although the recent update that many persons stated that was the update that freed finally the Galaxy S4 from lag, let me tell you, sometimes you have some micro lag here and there. It's not perfectly smooth like we have on the HTC One. Well, so as you can see, having more power doesn't mean necessarily to be the fastest one, at least in everyday life. Then what else we have here? We have the USB host capability on both devices via the micro USB connector, of course, but what we can connect both pen drive and even hard disk directly on into the Galaxy S4, you know, was able to connect my 500 gigabyte 2.5 hard disk. We cannot connect directly hard disk to the HTC One, but just pen drive. Maybe because the micro USB port of the HTC One doesn't supply enough, you know, electricity, enough power to the hard disks. Anyway, both devices does support USB host without having to use root on any other kind of magic. Then we have the display, of course. We have 2 full HD display. We have the display of the Galaxy S4, which is the Super AMOLED one. We have the display of the HTC One, which is the Super LCD 3. We have 5 inches on the Galaxy S4 and 4.7 inches on the HTC One. Both full HD display. We have the RGB matrix on the HTC One, and we have a pentile matrix, although with diamond, you know, pattern on the Galaxy S4. Well, guys, we have full HD on both displays. So, although this one is more or less 467 pixels per inch, while we have 441 pixels per inch, they are extremely sharp. So you won't have any kind of problem in reading text at all. I mean, although we have pentile matrix here, it's not definitely a problem to read text on any kind of sites. So don't worry about this. Moreover, finally the Galaxy S4 has a very good display. Not only because it's a Super AMOLED display, which means that there's a gorgeous black level and, you know, very high viewing angles. But finally, it's a very bright display too, so finally you will be able to read it under direct sunlight, something that was almost impossible with the previous Galaxy S3. Of course, we don't have any kind of problem for concern viewing angles and direct sunlight visibility for this Super LCD 3, which is extremely bright, even brighter than the Galaxy S4. Don't mind to the brightness right now, because I used to have auto settings for brightness, and when we have low light, the level for the HTC One are lower of the ones for the Galaxy S4. That's it. So we have a very bright display, very good viewing angles, and it has a very good black lever for an LCD screen. So you know, we have two very gorgeous display on both devices. Well, this was the screen of the HTC One and the Galaxy S4. Now let's talk about a few other hardware specs. Of course, we have the removable back cover here, so we can change both the battery and we can even expand the memory using a a micro SD card slot. While we have a unibody design here, so we cannot remove neither the battery nor the we can expand the internal storage, which is 32GB here, and this version is 16GB. What we can of course expand it, as I've already told you. Then, well, speaking about speed and you know thermal power, while using it, both devices you know get a little bit hot. Of course, the HTC One got hotter than the Galaxy S4. Maybe because we have metal here, so it's even easier, you know, to transmit thermal power. So that's it. Anyway, with a small test, I run about 8 times altogether the Epic benchmark on both devices, and after the 8th time, the Galaxy S4 start, you know, lowering frame rates. That's why the thermal power protection started in action. Well, we don't have any change in frame rate with the HTC One, so maybe both the lower clock speed and the aluminum body, which helps in transmitting, you know, thermal power, maybe help the HTC One for what concern long-term gaming or stuff like this, heavy stuff like this. So let's talk about now the software and the UI. We have the Android 4.2.2 on the Galaxy S4, where we have the 4.2.1 on the HTC One. We have Native UX 2.0 and we have Sense 5.0 on the HTC One. What does it mean that we have the UX 2.0? Not bad. Maybe we have even too much new stuff on the Native UX 2.0. If you want to know more about this interface, you can give a look to my dedicated focus, and where we have so much stuff like Air Gesture, Air View, Smart Stay, and you know, multi-window, and many new things, new sensor, new app. Maybe way too much. Let me tell you, way too much. This means that the Native UX is not completely optimized, and in everyday use it's not perfectly smooth. Don't misunderstand me. It's not bad. It's not a terrible lag every day, but you know, I would expect something even better from this 1.9 GHz quad-core processor, let me tell you. Then we have here the Sense 5.0, which is a very refined interface. It's slick, fast, completely smooth, and it's even lighter than the previous Sense iteration. So it's a very good interface with few, you know, new things, not so many new things like the one that we could find into the Native UX, but we have few stuff like this very interesting blink feed, which is nothing but a news hub. And of course we have other stuff inside the interface. We have few downside here. We don't have into the HTC One the quick toggle panel for the notification area. What we have it into the Galaxy S4. But the HTC One is going to receive the 4.2.2 in, let's hope, few weeks, and the new version, which is already, you know, going around to XDA forum and something like this, showed us that we will have finally the quick toggle back into the notification area. So we have two very good interface, Native UX 2 and the Sense 5.0. Then what else? Let me tell you about another very interesting part of these devices, which is the keyboard. Sorry, not here. we have, let me open it. Okay, this is the keyboard for the Galaxy S4, and here we have the keyboard for the HTC One. So as I told you, we have two very good keyboard. What you can see here, we have the number row here always visible into the Galaxy S4. This may seem to be very interesting and useful, but if you use, as me, often the device here in landscape mode, you will notice that the keyboard, takes way too much space of the screen. This is why we cannot choose to remove the number row, and this is really a pity. Moreover, what I find really annoying too is that I don't have comma here always visible, and this is something that I really appreciate in a keyboard. Well, we have here the HTC One keyboard, which does have the comma in first first digit, sorry, and we even have way more useful space while using the keyboard, because we don't have the fixed row number. Both keyboard are very good, very fast, no lag, no problem in typing. They both even support the swipey gesture to type, and moreover the Galaxy S4 keyboard does even support the handwriting recognition, and even it has some kind of floating feature, so you can have a floating keyboard and you can even move it all around the screen. So this is for what concerns the keyboard of these two devices. Sorry guys, I was forgetting to tell you about the browser. Let's talk then about the browser of these two devices. We have, as you can see here, we have the Galaxy S4 browser, which is Chrome based, while we have the HTC One browser, which is stock based. As you can see, being a Chrome based browser, we cannot have the full screen view, as well as we don't have any kind of flash support into this browser, while the HTC One browser, being based on the stock browser, does support both the full screen mode, which is to me really important in a device with a small display, although of course we have 5 inches and 4.7, but to me these are not big display anyway. So it's really important to have full screen mode to me, and I'd rather have the full screen mode, of course, of the HTC One. We even have the quick navigation panel here, which is really interesting and useful to me. And we have, of course, the flash support. As you can see, I put the flash support here on request. If I select the flash box here, the flash is starting, while we don't have flash at all into this browser. So moreover, the Chrome browser, most of you knows it already, is not that supersonic browser. As you can see, we even have problem if we do scroll too fast. We have some problem in rendering part of the page, while we don't have all that kind of problem into the stock browser. As you can see, both browsers are fluid, but maybe the one on the HTC One is extremely fluid. And what is really interesting is that it's extremely fluid, although we even have text reflow, which is something that normally bored us on the HTC browser, because made the browser really slow in pinch and zooming. And as you can see here, we don't have instead this kind of problem. So to me, it's really useful to have text reflow while reading the page, because it's the best way to read the page without having to scrolling left and right trying to read a whole row. We don't have, of course, text reflow into the Galaxy S4. As you can see, we don't have text reflow into the Galaxy S4 browser. So these are the main differences between these two browsers. So no full screen, no flash support, no text reflow. Full screen, text reflow and flash support instead for the HTC one. And moreover, the HTC one to me it's really a little bit more smooth and fluid on the one of the Galaxy S4. This is really a pity because Samsung was always, you know, very good in implementing the browser up to the Galaxy S3.